Welcome to Community Link. My name is Christian Hoffman. I'm the Vice President for Public Relations and Development at Community Missions. And this is Community Missions' opportunity to talk a little bit about what it is that Community Missions does in serving the community and how you out there might be able to help us to accomplish just that. So I have a couple of guests that are here today from our Aurora House program based in Lockport, and we'll get to them in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to start off by thanking you once again. If you didn't catch us last month, we had our Sweetheart Dinner back at the very beginning of March, and we appreciate anybody and everybody out there that supported that in some way, whether donating a basket or a gift card or possibly attending if you're watching as well. We thank you so much. We made over $30,000 that went to our crisis and community services, and there are fundraisers that like that all throughout the year, and they all go to support the wonderful programs, things like we're going to be talking about here today. The next of those fundraisers is going to come up on Monday, July 29th. It's called our Par for a Mission Golf Classic. It's held out in Youngstown at the Niagara Frontier Golf Club. We need 144 golfers, which works out to 36 foursomes. So there's some opportunity out there. We'll be launching all of our registration information here in the next couple of weeks. So if you're watching this, you might be able to go on as it looks right now to communitymissions.org and pull down that information to register for Monday, July 29th, our annual Par for a Mission Golf Classic. We hope that you'll join us or consider possibly sponsoring or donating a gift card or something like that. If you're attached to a business, we would certainly appreciate that. Before that is the annual Letter Carriers Food Drive. This actually a neat thing. It started actually here in Western New York and has now taken off all across the country, that letter carriers go out and collect food and give them to local organizations like our own, our food pantry and such. And we would appreciate you considering to be a part of that food drive. So on Saturday, May 4th, you should be getting bags or at least flyers in your when your postal carrier stops by, advertising that this is the week to do the food drive. And then on Saturday, May 11th, we are going to be out there looking, and we'll be volunteering as well as many different other organizations. But the letter carriers are doing the hard work out there, not only delivering the mail that day, but also picking up whatever food donations that you or your neighbors might be leaving out on your doorstep or at the mailbox, and then bringing them back to their main collection place. And then that's where we'll have more volunteers, where we can help to divvy up all of those wonderful donations so that they get to the different food pantries like us. We are also looking for a few volunteers that would be able to help us out specifically on that day. So Saturday, May 11th, if you have an opportunity to possibly either be a part of the food drive itself by donating some good non-expired canned goods or dry goods, we would certainly appreciate that. But if you have some time to give as well, just contact our events and volunteer manager, that's Kathy Chase, by calling her at 285-3403, and she's at extension 2225. Volunteering is also something else that I wanted to make sure that we mention today as we're getting to the end of the school year. Thankfully, that is coming up as we are feeling kind of the warmer temperatures out there. That also means, however, that for many students that there were probably some community service requirements, maybe for a club or a sport or something like that they needed to fulfill. And all of a sudden, when it gets to be springtime, about the last month or so of the year, is when our phone starts ringing, particularly because we have students that have maybe 5 or 10 hours of volunteer time that they needed to get done all year, and they waited to the last minute. Community Missions has a lot of different opportunities to be able to fulfill those. So again, if you would, call Kathy Chase, 285-3403, extension 2225, or just go online to communitymissions.org/volunteer and fill out the quick information form there, and she'll follow up with you to make sure that everybody gets their different community service hours in kind of as needed. Last thing I wanted to mention is that we're always taking donations of many different things. Obviously, I talked about the food donations that are always good, but particularly on May 11th, where you can actually stay at your house and just have the letter carriers bring them to us. But we're also always in need of clothing, especially men's and older boys' clothing. And also furniture. We can do furniture pickups once again, which I think we've mentioned before on here, but a lot of people either want to do some spring cleaning or for whatever reason maybe have a sofa or something else that it's just a little bit too heavy to lift or to bring to us. We are doing pickups in much of the county at this point, so we would encourage you just to call 285-3403 and we can possibly line up a time to come out and pick those items up. So that's enough of just me talking. Now let's introduce our guests here. So Mike Powers is to my right here. He is the Senior Family Peer Advocate at Aurora House, in the Family Support Services, and also the Case Coordinator at Aurora House. And then Mindy Schafer is to his right, and she is our Program Specialist at Aurora House. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Aurora House, I mentioned that it is in Lockport. Mike, would you like to explain to everybody what Aurora House is? What do they do?
It's
here?
a community resident group home for 12 to 17-year-olds. Okay. They can be in our house when they're 18, but they have to be before they turn 18.
Okay.
We try to help them gain confidence in themselves, also build on their skills regarding dealing with their diagnosis, struggles. We also, one of the major things that I like that Aurora House does in the community missions is family. They're big on family reunification. This is a program where we will connect with the families, help their kids gain trust and gain the confidence where they can talk about the things that are struggling at home. So we do a lot of family work with the families in the community as well, where I will go to their homes and help them and help the families educate themselves regarding what their child is difficulty. And at times the parents like to open up about their difficulties. Right. So I try to assist them as well and provide services or give them referrals for other folks that might be able to help the families.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
And Mindy, talk a little bit about the youth that you're dealing with that are in there. What are they kind of dealing with, and what do you kind of see in general from them?
Overall, they're your everyday teenager. They come in and they have their individual diagnosis, whether it be their mental health. They could have a physical ailment on top of that, family dynamics they could be struggling with, positive peer supports. So we get a whole variety of children, but I always like to say that they're your typical teenager, a little sprinkling of a mental health diagnosis, and they're just going to come in, learn their services, take some skills back home, and show their whole family and their friends what they've learned.
And what does capacity look like? How many youth can we have in there?
We are a co-ed facility, and we can have up to 8 children. It varies depending on the needs of the children and the supports that we have in programs, so it can vary as far as how many, but the max capacity is 8. Currently, we're running about 4, and looking to serve some more.
Right. And so what would you say as a day in the life if you were somebody that was living there?
I would say it's very ordinary of a teenager, where the expectations are they're going to school, they're coming back and expected to show us the skills as far as helping out like they would in their home, doing chores, doing homework. They get time to work with their peers and the other staff to plan fun activities, whether it's an activity in the house, a movie night, games in the backyard, going to the local libraries. Some of the kids will earn unsupervised community time, so they can go out a little bit on their own and use their cell phone time, go get some coffee. They might meet a friend at the library. And then we plan bigger events, some through the family support multiple times a year, so going to the Bison's games, those types of things. Or they'll do little group things with their peers and the staff, movie night out in the community, going to the zoo, the aquarium. So yeah.
Great. And so they're living, at Aurora House. So Mike, what does it look like with staying in touch with the family and having them visit with family and such?
We have an open door policy at Aurora House where families can come and go. As long as they call in a decent time to say, hey, we would like to come to see our child, then it's given. We want the more interaction with family, the more successful we'll have with the youth returning home successfully. And that's what I usually tell the families. The more involved they are, the more successful they will be.
And are the youth able to go back home?
Yes, the home times are every weekend. There's not one, and then there's plenty of weekends in the summertime where they'll go home on the week of July 4th. They're home for a week. Okay. It's automatic. We call it mandatory, but it's basically we want to see what the services that we're doing is working for the kids. Right. And then the stuff that the parents are learning, we want to know what is learning, and we want to see in action, right? We want to see it. So this way I can go there, I can see what's working, what's not, help the parents tweak a little bit and go forward from there. Yes. Any extended home times or school holidays, holidays throughout the year, Christmas break, spring break, you name it, the kids are home. Okay. As much as they're in our program, they're also at home as well.
How long is a kid able to stay at Aurora House?
Our program is 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
So they can basically be there, just for 6 months, or they can stay for the full 9 months in our program. It's all case by case relevance.
Okay.
So we don't have a specific certain time of when they can be leaving. It's based on the case itself.
Okay. What are the questions that parents ask when the intake process is happening? What do they want to know?
One for them all is like home time. When
Yeah.
is that going to look in? Because most of the time when the families are coming into Aurora House, they're struggling, right? So they're asking about those home times. They're afraid of home time.
Okay.
So we want to encourage them and help them process that through Monday through Friday is when they can get a break, and also the youth can get a break. And then on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, it's time for them to work on what they need to be working on and going forward from there.
Right.
The other piece is huge is finance, right? They always want to know who's paying for the child to be there. So we are a medicated billable service. The only thing that's not paid by Medicaid is room and board. So I help them to come up with ways or help them how to pay the room and board.
Okay.
There's 3 ways to pay for it. You got Social Security income, adoption. If your child is adoption, then you have adoption subsidy. Or it's a hardship bed application where if the family feels they're not able to do it, they can fill out the application. But we only have 1 hardship bed per time.
Okay.
So if a child's in our program right now with a hardship bed and another family wants it, we can't offer it. We have to wait until that other child is out of the program.
And so if somebody out there is thinking that there may be an interest in such, what would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to try to apply for SPOA
Okay.
because we go through SPOA.
Okay.
They have to go through there to get a letter of agreeing by SPOA and then going forth. But in the meantime, I can offer them the family support group that I hold on Zoom so they can go in and still get questions asked and help by other family members or other families throughout the community.
Okay. One of the things I've learned over the years, you guys have several principles that you run the program by.
Yes,
Right?
the 4 cores.
Yes.
Yes, we have trauma-informed restorative approach. We have strength-based, youth-guided, and family-driven.
So the youth guided in particular, talk about that and how that's kind of implemented into the program.
So youth guided is a big component that anybody can use in their house. It's basically letting the kid's voice be heard, giving them a choice in their care, and they all kind of intertwine. So one of the big things we like to say is nothing about them without them. It doesn't mean that they get everything they want, but they have the opportunity to be heard. And have a stake in it, because if their voice isn't heard, they don't have a buy-in. They feel like everybody else is telling them what to do. So it starts as simple as, do you want to do your laundry now or in an hour? Those kind of things. I always like to say it's kind of like when you have a little kid and you want them to be independent and pick their own outfit. You're not just going to say, go to your room and pick out an outfit. You're going to pick a couple and let them choose from that. So we kind of start with those little things first till they get a little bit more confident in their decision choices and making sure they're positive choices, and then they can learn to let their voice be heard and make those good choices. And it's everything from the activities they want to do to picking foods for the menu.
Good. So they're well represented, it seems like,
Yeah.
in their place. Restorative. Who wants to talk about the restorative piece?
The restorative is about focusing on what can they do to re-heal the mistrust that caused through the incident, right? Family-wise, at home, they use the word consequences. We try to reverse it by saying a restorative task, right? And you can basically say the same thing, but it's about a restorative task that can help you heal that mistrust that you gained from that incident, whatever that incident is.